Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the all-new fully electric Ram pickup truck. Before we get in this video though, as always, if you're going to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. And then if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Let's get into it. So let's talk about this Ram 1500 REV, and that is what Ram is calling it, which is a pretty cool name. REV is supposed to be revolution because this is the Ram Revolution, right? They're going to fully electric with their pickup truck. And don't worry, Ram is still planning on building gas-powered pickup trucks. This is supposed to be an auxiliary truck, just like how Ford is still building regular F-150s alongside the F-150 Lightning. But regardless, this Ram 1500 REV is going to be a 2025 model year truck. It will be released in Q4 of 2024, which goes in line with what Ram and other automakers typically do, right? If you guys watch my main channel, you know that I started reviewing 2023s, most of them in Q4 of 2022, and so that's just how things work with releases. Now, when it comes to official specs on this truck, Ram hasn't given us a whole lot of information. What they have said, though, is that they are focusing on making it so this is a more practical electric pickup truck. Now, they haven't said anything directly about, things with the Ford F-150 Lightning, but you can tell with the advertising that they're kind of, somewhat taking some subtle jabs at the Lightning. They just released a hilarious ad for the Super Bowl. If you haven't seen it, just go and Google it. It's probably one of the funniest ads ever released by an automaker. But regardless, with that, they're basically saying that they're going to focus on range with this truck. So this truck's going to have at least 400 miles of range in the higher end trims. And that's down from the 500 miles of range that Ram stated earlier. So hopefully between now and release time, we can get close to that 500 miles of range, because I think that's very important for a fully electric pickup truck. Ram's also talking about doing a range extender. Now, they haven't really explained what this is going to be. My best guess is that it's going to be like a small gas engine, and you have a small gas tank that you can fill up, and the engine will basically charge up the battery, and that's how you get some range extension out of the truck. And then aside from that, the other specs that people are going with is going to be body-on-frame construction, just like the F-150 Lightning, which makes sense. Chevy is going unibody with their new electric pickup truck, which, yeah, that's going to cause some issues if anyone wants to modify that truck. So sticking with the body-on-frame design, it just makes sense. But this truck's also going to have independent suspension in the front and in the rear, just like the F-150 Lightning. Again, when you have an electric vehicle, it doesn't make sense to do a solid rear axle because it's easier to set up the electric motors when you have independent suspension. And then the stuff that we have that's more on the confirmed side of things is going to be interior bits and exterior bits. So you guys can see the photos in this video. But basically what Ram has done is they've taken the concept truck and they've expanded upon that concept truck, which I actually think works really well, because I think that the concept truck was a little bit over the top, and I think that Ram did that on purpose because they kind of wanted to gauge what people were thinking. And also I think they wanted to kind of throw everyone off because they're like, hey, we're going to release this electric pickup truck. It's going to be hideous and crazy. It's kind of what the concept truck was, just like what Chevy did with the Silverado EV. But then they're like, hey, by the way, a month later, right, we're going to make this truck so it's a lot better looking. So yeah, exterior styling, it basically looks similar to what Ford did with the Lightning, where they've taken a regular Ram 1500 and they've changed, the front end a little bit. The side almost looks identical to every other 1500. And then the back end with the taillights looks a little bit different. But like, you look at the crew cab, you look at the Ram box on the side, like it basically is a regular 1500. And that actually leads us to the interior with this truck, because that also looks like regular Ram 1500 as well. You've got like this big 12-inch infotainment screen. And actually, if I zoom in a little bit, you can see like regular trailer brake controls. It looks identical to the infotainment system that we currently have in the Ram. It's just slightly different, and obviously has electric info versus gas info. And then there's also a passenger screen you can see on the side. But if you look at the rest of the dash layout's like identical to what we have. So you can see like the leather trim and everything. So again, they've basically stuck with the 1500 design inside, changed a few things, and that's pretty much it, which is what I initially thought Ram was going to do before they released that crazy concept. And then the concept, again, it threw me off, just like I'm sure it threw all of you off. And so now we're back to, I guess, having a more normal truck. With that being said, once I get more official specs on this new Ram 1500 EV, I will make a video and talk about it. And of course, once I'm able to review one, that'll be on the main channel. So if you're not subscribed to the main channel, go subscribe to the main channel if you want to see that review once it's posted in the future. But I want to have a discussion about this Ram 1500 EV and talk about what Ram has done well from what we know so far and what Ram needs to seriously focus on before they release this truck. So in terms of things that they've done well, I think styling is actually really solid, because although the concept was crazy over the top, the actual production version, it's similar to the Lightning in my opinion, where they basically take their regular truck, make it look a little bit different so people know it's the electric version, but they don't make it look too different to where it's, you know, just hideous. I think that they actually did a great job with the exterior styling, and it still looks like a normal pickup truck. And then the other part of it is the interior. The interior, from what we can see so far at the photos, looks like a regular Ram 1500 interior, which is great because that interior is super comfortable, luxurious, usable. It's pretty much like the best truck interior in the business, especially with stuff like the center console where you can slide it backwards and forwards. And then again, with the interior materials like the dash materials and all that, it's just great. Go into like a brand new Ram 1500 Limited or a TRX and you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. Now, the thing that they need to focus on, first off, range. And I'm not talking about just driving range, towing range. The Ford F-150 Lightning and the Rivian R1T have shown us that those trucks are great as daily drivers, but the second that you load up the bed or put a trailer on the back of it, those trucks just lose all sorts of truck practicality because they can't go very far. I've seen so many towing tests with the Lightning where it gets only like 70 to maybe 100 miles of driving range while towing a moderately heavy trailer, so like think 5,000 to 6,000 pounds. Whereas if you look at a gas equivalent truck, even while loaded up with a weight of that amount or even more, I'm talking about a half-ton truck, you can expect to get at least 300 miles of range with most pickup trucks if you've got a big enough fuel tank. And Ram, for example, offers a 33-gallon fuel tank with their pickup trucks. And so if you get a Ram 5.7 Hemi and you tow a 6,000-pound trailer with it, then I think it's pretty safe to assume then you'd be able to get around 300 miles of driving range. That's way more, 3 times more than 100 miles of driving range. So towing range needs to be a huge focus with this pickup truck. And obviously Ram has talked about doing a range extender, and I think that this is a genius idea, and I don't know why other automakers aren't incorporating this into EVs. I think that this would actually help increase EV adoption because, first off, we have all this infrastructure here in the US to support filling up ICE cars. So why not use that infrastructure to help support EVs if this country really wants to go into EVs? Now, the one thing I do want to say about the gas extender is, first off, it needs to be reliable. And this is something, another point that I want to make, is this whole Ram 1500 EV needs to be reliable. The GMC Hummer EV has shown us that, you know, automakers, if they rush too much into this whole EV thing, then, well, they build a vehicle with a lot of problems that's ultimately not usable, and I don't think that Ram wants to do that, and so they need to make sure that everything's reliable. But the other thing is they need to make it so that this range extender gives the user enough range so that it adds enough practicality to the vehicle to where it is worth it for truck people to go into an EV. So what I'd have to say is, as a baseline number, the range extender should add at least 100 miles of range to the truck. Now, I don't know how big the engine has to be, and I don't know how big the gas tank has to be for that to work, but I'd say 100 miles of range is the bare minimum. If they can add more range than that, then I think that's great. Now, the reason why I go with 100 miles of range is I think that that's enough that if someone was out in the middle of nowhere and all they could find is a gas station because, well, the charging network here in the US absolutely sucks, there's not enough chargers and half the chargers don't work, then 100 miles of range would be enough for that person to basically limp from one gas station to the next until they could eventually get to a charger. But I think that it would be ideal if it was more than 100 miles of range because, well, 100 miles of range unloaded is more like 25 miles of range if you're towing a trailer. So yeah, I'm not an engineer, so I don't know like how much has to go into that, but I do think that that range extender, like that needs to be heavily focused on because that I think will be a deal breaker for a lot of people with considering jumping into this Ram 1500 EV. I want you guys to let me know what you think about this truck if you're considering buying one, and if you guys are wondering about me, I already put my reservation in. I'll see you.